Hello and welcome to Drunk on Tea. This week I'm returning to my series where I paint all of the Warhammer Quest Darkwater minis quickly, but without sacrificing on quality. This week I'm painting another one of the evil characters, Shaman Foulhoof, the leader of the Pestigors. So join me as I show you how to quickly paint up this great looking beastman leader for Warhammer Quest Darkwater. The first thing I've done is prime the model black and apply an undershade as I've done to all of the other Darkwater minis. This undershade will show through slightly under the speed paints, giving a great shadow and highlight in a single layer. First, with Crusader skin, I'm going to paint all of the skin on the model. I'm catching all of the skin on the face, as well as any exposed skin on the arms and legs. I'm being careful to avoid painting over any other details like the fur, because it will be difficult to reapply the undershade if these areas are painted over. There are quite a few areas of skin on the model, so I'm checking all over and making sure that I catch them all with a layer of Crusader skin. With the skin painted, next I'm going to paint the fabric. For this I'm using Forest Sprite. This is the same colour I've used for a lot of the uniforms across the set, so I'll make sure I tie this model into all the others. This colour is also great for giving that Nurgle appearance, really showing off that Foulhoof is a follower of Nurgle. There is quite a lot of fabric on this model, so I'm making sure I catch it all with some of the Forest Sprite. The undershade will work really well here, with the deepest recesses being in shadow and the tops of the creases and folds. Where the paint pulls away slightly, that white will show through just a bit, giving a really nice transition from dark to light in just a single coat. With the fabric painted, that is a large part of Foulhoof completed. Now with Desolate Brown, I'm going to paint the bag on his back and any other leather or strapping details. This paint is a really nice olive colour. It's got a deep dark colour to it that is ideal for these Nurgle models. I'm also painting this strapping on his staff as well. This will really help tie the staff into the rest of the model, as well as giving a nice dirty colour to the strapping. Finally, any bits of rope or string holding the trinkets on, I'm also catching these with some Desolate Brown. With the Desolate Brown applied, next I'm going to paint the skulls. I'm using Pallid Bone for this. And I'm making sure I catch all of the skulls on the staff. There is this large one on the top of the staff, and a smaller bird skull hanging from his arm. With the skulls painted, I'll paint the horns next. For this, I'm using Skeleton Horde contrast paint. And I'm catching all of the horns on Foulhoof's head, being careful to avoid accidentally painting over the fabric by mistake. I'm also catching the fingernails and the hooves with Skeleton Horde as well. And with the horns painted, Foulhoof is starting to come together. Next, with Grim Black, I'm going to paint the fur. Foulhoof has these dread-like strands of fur coming out of his head, so I'm carefully painting these with Grim Black, being really careful to avoid accidentally catching anything else with this paint, as black will be really hard to tidy up and paint back over if I make any mistakes. I'm also painting any fur on his arms and legs as well. There are several areas where bits of fur are growing, so I'm making sure I paint these, being careful to not accidentally paint over the skin. With all the fur painted, next I'm going to paint the wood, and I'm using dark wood for this. There is a large part of tree coming out of the shoulder to Foulhoof, which I'm carefully painting with dark wood speed paint. There are also some small areas on his staff showing through the strapping, so I'm going to catch these as well. And with the wood painted, next up I'm going to paint a few small details. First, with Holy White, I'm painting these tiny maggot-like creatures coming out of the wood next to his shoulder. A layer of Holy White will give this the appearance of maggots with white skin crawling out from underneath his skin. And next, with Murder Scene, I'm going to paint the heart and the blood in his hands. This paint is a great reddish purple and ideal for these kinds of details, So I'm making sure I paint all over the heart, as well as catching all of the blood dripping between his fingers. There are also a few small boils on his skin, so like all the other minis in this set, I'm catching these with this paint so they look sore and infected. If you're enjoying the video, please press like. If you want more videos, press the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. And if you'd like to support the channel, please become a member by pressing the join button down below or joining me over on Patreon. With those details painted, there's just a few more left to paint. With Plasmatic Bolt, I'm catching this small stone. This will give it a glowing kind of effect and tie the model into the others, like the Crankerborn, as I use the same paint to pick out the glowing stones on them as well. With the stones painted, it's time to move on to the metallics. With Broadsword Silver, I'm painting the sword on Foulhoof's waist. This could be a stone dagger, but I'm picking out in silver to add some brightness to the model. I'm also painting any connecting loops for details, and the outside of this metal plate on his belly. I'll paint the inside in the next step, but for now I'm just painting the outside with Broadsword Silver. And after painting all of the silver details, next is the gold, and I'm using Hoplite Gold for this. I'm applying this to all of the remaining areas on the model, so things like the symbol of Nurgle on his hood, the cowbell hanging from his waist, as always being careful around other colours, and the trinkets on the staff, so another bell and this symbolic plate. The gold may appear a bit too bright at this stage, but don't worry, I'm going to darken it down and add some weathering shortly. And finally, I'm also painting the inside of the metal plate on his belly with some Hoplite Gold as well. With the gold painted, you could leave the model here, but I'm going to apply some weathering to the gold. First, with Reichland Flesh Shade, I'm applying this all over the gold. The flesh shade will darken down the gold, giving it the appearance of brass or more tarnished gold, which is perfect for Nurgle models, as I can't imagine they spend hours polishing gold before heading into battle. And once the shade has dried, it's taken the shine off of those details. And finally, with Lilac Oxide, I'm adding small spots onto the gold details. This will give the impression of oxidization and verdigris building up on these areas. As always with weathering, less is more, so just apply a few spots to every area, slowly building up until you get an effect you're happy with. And with the weathering applied, that is how to paint Shaman Foulhoof for Warhammer Quest Darkwater. Please let me know in the comments down below, what other models would you like to see me paint from this set? Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and happy painting.